Om Namah Shivaya. We're speaking about the qualities of a guru, minimum qualities. Yes, we're speaking that at least the guru has to know how to write in Sanskrit, how to read transliterated Sanskrit, pronounce well, yes, the Devanagari tour, how to write in the Devanagari in signs. Minimum. In the past, in ancient times, they required a scholar, full scholar, yes, to be guru. But now in my Parabhairava Yoga, I'm requiring only minimum knowledge about Sanskrit to be guru, yes, because it's shameful. You don't know the basic about Sanskrit and you are guru. And I wrote in the book, anyway, 99% or more of the supposed spiritual teachers do not know how to do that, how to write in Sanskrit, how to read Sanskrit. I see them very often offline and online. I have not gone to any yoga courses or lectures for many, many years. Why? Just not interested. For many, many years, I was never in a yoga course, maybe for 25 years or more. 26 years, maybe 27 years. Never gone to the course. Why? Uninterested. When I used to go to those courses or lectures in my remote past, the only thing I always saw and heard was horrible Sanskrit. Really, horrible Sanskrit. As a result, I did not pay attention to the teachings because you don't respect the teacher. Instead of puja, yes, an Argentinian teacher, instead of puja, she pronounced like in Spanish alphabet, puja, puja. What is puja? Puja, worship. What puja? Puja, puja. Well, you're gonna hear the conference of a person speaking like this is because it's ridiculous. Shoga in Argentina, Y is like a sage. So shoga, yoga, yoga. The real pronunciation is like this: yoga, yoga. This is the real pronunciation. But at least pronounce yoga. Yes, more or less. No shoga. La yoga in feminine. No, yoga is masculine. El yoga in Spanish. El yoga, no la yoga. Because they say the translation of yoga is unión in Spanish, feminine. So they put the feminine article to the word yoga. So they say la yoga. La yoga. No. If someone pronounced la yoga in Argentina, I immediately abandon the course because it's absurd. I cannot learn anything with a person doing this. And another thing that I hear when if I go to a course of some teacher or someone, for example, I go to a course of a Sanskrit teacher, yes, to learn more. Why not? I can desire to learn more. But if the guy doesn't know Spanish, for example, is an Argentinian and doesn't know Spanish or from Spain or from Colombia, wherever, and he doesn't know Spanish and he makes mistake in Spanish, instead of Asha, Sanjantiv, Sanjantiv, of the verb to have, haber in Spanish. Instead of Asha, he said aiga, like an ignorant person. Obviously, I will escape from that course, yes, because how to teach me Sanskrit, so ancient language, and you don't know your native language. You understand? You don't know how to pronounce your native language. You don't know your grammar, and you will teach me the grammar of Sanskrit. So it's not serious. Yes, aiga, or instead of nadie, nobody, he will tell me naides or something like this from countryside. So no, yes, no, thank you. So I'm very particular. You are like this? You are very particular. Obviously, my English is not my native language, so I can make mistakes because it's not my native language. I never lived in USA or in England or in any English-speaking country. Never. I learned English from my home. I was at school, in university. I learned English there and nothing else. But I didn't even have a particular professor teaching me. Nothing. It's only my practice, only with English and listening to movies and the rest. But in Spanish, I know I won't make serious mistake. Yes. No. How to teach Sanskrit and make a serious mistake in Spanish, your native language. The same for Lucas. Lucas is teaching Sanskrit, but he doesn't know how to pronounce some word in Portuguese. That's ridiculous. First, learn your language. Next, teach Sanskrit. Okay. So I give three opportunities. Is one time make a mistake, okay. Second time, third time, and run away. With mistakes. No. For example, in Argentina, people say buenísimo. Yes. Superlative of bueno. Bueno is good. Bueno, good. So buenísimo, super good. It's buenísimo, but no, it's not buenísimo. It's bonísimo. Bonísimo. Most people don't know this. If a Sanskrit teacher tell me buenísimo, no. No, thank you. Bonísimo. Fuerte, strong. They say fuertísimo. No, fortísimo. It's irregular superlative in Spanish. Things like this. Pobre, poor. He tell me pobrísimo, super poor. No, paupérrimo. It's irregular. So these details I notice, yes, you cannot cheat me. I will run away from the Sanskrit course. First, learn your language. You understand? Okay, so anyway, in Parabhaiva Yoga with gurus we are not very demanding, yes, so we won't have a guru ever, because it's like this. We have to demand less because if we go for full scholar and full liberated, we'll never have a guru. So as a result, I did not pay attention to the teachings because the quantity of Sanskrit nonsenses was just too much. In courses of, I went to courses of different groups, yes, in the past, in the 90s, in the early 90s. I was to many places. I don't want to mention names, but they read in Sanskrit like I read in Polish. So no, it's ridiculous. Yes. In fact, one time I told a guy, no, because Krishna said something. No, Krishna didn't say this. I'm reading. I told him, he said this. So the guy was so bewildered by my explanation that at that time I realized that the guy had no idea about what he was talking about. Yes, because he was only trusting the translation of his gurus, but he didn't read Sanskrit. So the guru translated wrong, not wrong because it was a bad translator, wrong on purpose. You understand? We say when you translate wrong on purpose, we call it llevar agua para el molino. Llevando agua para el molino in Spanish. Llevando agua para su molino. Carrying water for his meal, literal translation. When you carry water for your meal, means that you are adapting the translation for your own good, yes? For example, I adapt the translation of Abhinavagutta and I say something that I like. So, no, I dislike this part. No, I translate like this. I like better. This is llevar agua para el molino, to carry water for your meal. It's an idiom. Istaskayet vodu для своей мельницы. In Russian, literal translation. So, he couldn't reply my question. Yes, no, Krishna is not saying this. So at that time I realized that the guy had no idea about Sanskrit. Because I thought all of them were scholars at that time. I was so naive, yes. All of them were scholars or great sages, something, so naive. No, he had no idea. So I stopped asking questions like this because it's irrespectful. disrespectful in Spanish, irrespetuoso, disrespectful. So, um, because when you are in the place of another teacher, it's not good if you put that person in shame, yes, or to shame. You understand? It's not good. I don't like this. But I did it by mistake because I thought that they were a great scholar, they will reply. The only thing that they told me, okay, we need to check with our experts. I never heard of the expert in my entire life, yes, so the experts. And because there are people giving classes or holding seminar, but without being accomplished in Sanskrit and philosophy. That's why my mistake. Obviously, I didn't go to that place anymore because it's useless. But you don't have to be respectful. You have to leave. You dislike, okay, dislike. But by mistake, I corrected it in public. That was bad. And because so bad the translation, I said, this guy is joking. So some people might think that Sanskrit is secondary. They are completely wrong because languages as a whole are the very foundation of every culture around the world. For example, despite Spanish is my native language, I write in English in a way that is at least a little above the basic level. Imagine that I were to write at a level which is even lower than the basic one. You would not be able to understand me at all. Imagine if I speak like this. Yes, I write because I with the book. If I speak horrible English, you cannot understand me at all. Consequently, language is always essential for keeping and transmitting cultures, traditions, and teachings. Even if the language is not written, it's at least spoken. And in this way, the tradition is passed from one generation to the other. You know that some languages are not written, yes, they are spoken only, even now. It's oral tradition. For the most part, a lot of current yoga teachers are passing Sanskrit garbage to the next generations. This being the case, what was the point of my going to their courses and lectures in the past? Just wasted time. In the past and even now, because I continue in the same state. In my case, I never corrected a spiritual teacher in public except when he asked me to do so. Only that time because I didn't know, yes, that this guy was so naive. Not naive, not so, how is Lego? So layman. You know what is layman? Lego, in Spanish, tan Lego. Mm, Lego. No, it's not this game Lego, no. In Russian, Lego. Lego? Liega. Layman in English. Layman. Mirianin. Mirianin. A person who has no idea about something. Mirianin. Mirianin? Very well.
Samsari.
In Portuguese, leigo. In Hungarian, laikus. So someone who has no idea about, for example, I'm a layman in Portuguese, so I know nothing about Portuguese. You understand me? And okay. I'm of the compassionate kind. I guess that other people who have in-depth knowledge about Sanskrit will behave like myself in the courses and lectures of gurus. But who knows? One of them might take offense at the way a guru is pronouncing and or writing Sanskrit. As the old saying goes, you do not know what God has in store for you. If this calamity happens and the one taking offense is a real Sanskrit scholar, I can assure that supposed guru that his career as a spiritual teacher will be finished very soon. Because a real Sanskrit scholar with a lot of knowledge, Sanskrit knowledge can destroy you. you don't know what you are doing. Having his own authority undermined in front of all his own disciples is the worst calamity for a guru, because his teachings will not fully spread. Therefore, before starting his path as a genuine guru, one should make sure that he has solid knowledge about the scripture dealing with the self, Sanskrit writing and pronunciation included, or he will be exposed to be ridiculed at any moment for his own dullness. If someone talks about yoga and cannot even pronounce the word yoga properly, is not being consistent. In fact, that's absolutely ridiculous. One should not be the disciple of such wretched gurus then. The other requirement for being a genuine spiritual teacher is having a direct experience of the self. I have already mentioned that there are, broadly speaking, three realities: self, mind, and physical body. Broadly speaking, yes, because many tattwas involved in these realities. When someone realizes his own self, he realizes that the self is not associated with mind and physical body at all. It's another person. You cannot understand this, yes, because you are super identified with your ego. I'm not, I'm sure. So if I tell Lucas, Lucas, you have no relationship with Lucas. Difficult to understand. Because you say, no, Shiva has some relationship with Lucas or with Tamash, yes, so there is some relationship because he created Lucas and Tamash and Gabriel. So there is some relationship. No. What is it? Mystery. Because you are so used to believe that you are Lucas, Tamash, Gabriel, Mate, Raman, Natalia, Ivan, Elena, Elena, and Robert and Dora, that you are super sure about this. That if someone tell you no, but you have no relationship, Shiva is you, yes? You have no relationship with Raman, with Tamash, with Lucas. What is that? Difficult to understand. You say it's impossible. It's part of me. No, nothing. So what is this? Mysterious. You understand this at the time of liberation. When you fully realize who you are for the first time, even for a second, you realize that you are not the other person. It's like a stranger. And you look that person like a stranger on the street walking. He experiences his absolute freedom that way. One just cannot believe how free one is at that moment. This is the liberate. The experience of self-realization is the most awesome experience a human being can have, and I'm absolutely sure of this. I will describe the experience of self-realization now. Absolute freedom. It's not related to being good or bad, powerful, weak, nice, unnice, handsome, ugly, and so on. No. It's not that you do a lot of push-ups, you have good muscles. No, no relation. Or you are very skillful with the body or with the mind. No, no, it's not related. It's related to being totally free. One experiences supreme indifference to all that is happening inside and outside. No relationship with the body and with the mind, with ego, mind, all this. It's external. That's why they say in Shiva Sutras, remember in Shiva Sutras, I know that you know by heart Shiva Sutras, but they say that the enlightened person uses the body like kanchuka, like a covering, like a sheath. They say, my memory serves me well, Shiva Sutras. He said, aphorism 42, practically the final aphorism in section 3. He said, Bhuta kanchuki tada vimukto bhuya patisamah para. Then, when the desire finally disappears, that yogi, with capital letters, uses the body which is composed of gross elements, bhutas, as covering, kanchuki. And being completely liberated, since he is preeminently equal to Lord Shiva, he is perfect and full. So you feel the body like a kanchuka, like a covering. You cover with the body, but you are not the body. And you are not ego. This is the most shocking part. Yes, it's a stranger. Ego. It's an object. It's not you. What is that? I repeat, you are super used to the idea that ego is part of you or something. No, no relationship. You are completely different. Even if your ego is good, bad, it doesn't matter. You are not that. People tend to say, well, what is good in me is not ego. What is bad is ego. No, it's good can be ego too. Do you understand? Obviously, if it's good ego, you don't need to remove. Bad ego, you need to remove. Yes, but you need to remove. Shiva will remove it by himself. And so supreme indifference. This supreme indifference is not negative like the ordinary human indifference, but a divine state of detachment. You are detached. You are not attached to anything, to anyone. A person in such a state is able to behave in a way that vast majority of people just cannot. As something appear here. What is this? Irene. Irene came. Appear some new square on the screen. And people just cannot do it. As he's absolutely detached, all that happened to his mind and physical body is never happening to himself. This condition of absolute detachment makes him able to do things that most mortals just can't dream of. They dream of already, but they cannot do it. For example, in this world, death is always frightening. Most people are not only afraid of dying themselves, but also of their relatives or friends dying. When this happens, they feel horrible pain and a void. This is especially hard when it comes to children. Well, a liberated human being is always in the same condition of absolute inner peace, in spite of the external fuss. We cannot understand. He could even cry and so on, but he's never affected by pain, really. He doesn't care, it's isolated. Paradoxically, pleasure cannot affect him either. His state of freedom is indescribable. It's beyond. It's like God. It's God. He's God, liberated. He's not inert like a rock. He's full of life, but not as in the case of the rest of people. He's completely detached from his mind and physical body. His divine state is that of the self. This state always resides in everybody, but as most people fail to realize they are self, they live as if they were not the self. They live the life of ego, not their real life. You are not living your real life. You are living the life of your Tamás, Lucas, Natalia, etc., not your real life. Interesting, eh? Absolute freedom dwells in them, but not having realized it, they cannot enjoy it. As a result, they continue to be identified with mind and physical body, and consequently, all the things that happen to these ones happen to themselves. All the time living like this. If you don't realize, you cannot enjoy. For example, you have $1 million in your pocket, yes? I cannot imagine how. Maybe with a diamond there. You have a diamond in your pocket. But while you don't put your hand into your pocket and grab the diamond, you don't realize. So you cannot enjoy. Do you understand? You can be poor your whole life with a diamond in your pocket. You need to put the hand into your pocket. This is liberation. For this, you need the help of guru, scriptures, etc. How to do it? In spirituality, this limited state is called bandha, bondage. Bandha. When people say bandha, bandha is bondage, but it's bondage and a lot of more things too. Yes, bandha. So, but the one common meaning is bondage, from the verb bat, to bind. It's not at all a desirable state, rest assured. Anyway, out of sheer ignorance, for full ignorance, you see that people seem to be satisfied with that heavy burden on their shoulders. They live like this. They're not interested in liberation. The great mystery of spiritual ignorance is like that. So a liberated person is the one who enjoys absolute freedom. However, as his divine state could be shocking to the rest of people, he will probably hide it. Yes, because a lot of people die now in Turkey with earthquakes, thousands and thousands, and liberated people in the middle of them like this. Yes, imagine. It's disturbing. It's like this, for example. Oh, look at that. It's disturbing. So he hides his state of indifference. And he, oh my God. Oh, what is this? So terrible. You understand? What is this thing I have here? I don't know. I have some. And so you have to hide it in order not to disturb people because you care about nothing. How to live in a world caring about nothing? You cannot live in the world caring about nothing. You have to hide your state. You understand? You have to behave like them. If they suffer, you suffer. They laugh, you laugh. You understand? That's why a liberated person is never what you are thinking. You were thinking before. He will never behave like you were thinking. You were thinking maybe, oh, the guy will be like all the time ecstatic. Or no, the guy will be completely the opposite in general. For example, in Muktananda, new liberated people who were completely nuts. One of them, for example, completely naked on the streets, completely naked in India. Just walking there. It's completely beyond understanding what is that. And asking for food in every shop. Yes, give me food. So because people knew that he was a great saint, people gave them food. He gave him food. And people like this. So another guy in winter naked, in summer full of clothes. So how to understand people? Crazy. All the time asking for money, for example. Give me money, give me money. For my teachings, he charged all the time money. So Muktananda gave them money, gave him money. This is Harigiri Baba, the name. Harigiri Baba gave Harigiri Baba money, a lot of money for his teachings all the time. And when he left the house of Muktananda, grabbed the money and threw all the money to the pigs there, just eating. So he said, I don't need this money. It's only for the pigs. And people like this. Another guy, Ciproana, for example, great saint Ciproana, living on the top of a city dump. You know what's a city dump? Well, you put the garbage in the city. You put all the garbage, the musar, in the city in some place. This is a city dump. City dump. So he lived there in this horrible place on a mountain of garbage. They are sitting there naked, completely naked. What is this guy? Well, and using turds, akashka, yes, using shit and ointing himself with shit, yes, and smelling like roses. What is this guy? What happened to this? Nobody is a mystery. That's why enlightened men never behave like you are expecting. Never. However, so a liberated person is the one who enjoys absolute freedom. However, as his divine state could be shocking, so he had to hide it. What is higher can easily delude, cheat what is lower. So a higher level of being can cheat a lower level of being. Therefore, nobody except another liberated one can see such a person as he really is. If that person decides not to be seen as such, he will disguise himself as a usual person, for example, and nobody will notice his divine state. The idea that the liberated person is impressive like a superhero is not a serious one indeed. No, it's not a superhero. This is the superheroes are the ones following supernatural powers. These are superheroes. They follow this, the sadhakas. They follow this path. This type of person instead could look like the rest of people and nobody would detect his great achievement. In the fourth way, they call the liberated people conscious. They call conscious men. The conscious man, the liberated person in the fourth path, in the paths of Gurdjieff, Ouspensky, all these teachers, he's called like a very common person, like a, how is this, postman, like a postman, yes, with mails. He's coming to your house with some mail. Common person, completely common, the conscious man. Nobody can recognize him. When he reveals his state to someone, he's impressive, but not due to some wretched powers. For example, flying, clairvoyance, etc. No, he's not flying. But to his absolute freedom, which allows him to remain the same all the time under all circumstances. So you are dying and the guy is completely comfortable. He feels comfortable where you are dying. That's why in the fourth way they call a conscious man, a liberated person, call him is someone who continues to walk where you sink. So you are sinking like Titanic, and he continues to walk. This is a conscious man. Do you understand? That's why Lakmana Ju said, when a conscious man received the news that someone died, received the news, he hardly moves, and continues in his state. Hardly moves. You can hardly move? Really? Your family died and you hardly move. That's why people just cannot do what he does. It's impossible for us. Because we're very attached to life. So we consider death to be something horrible, not like part of life. You understand? Because when you die, you have an expansion. You leave this body. So you have an expansion, but people cannot understand this expansion. They think that this expansion is bad. So they escape from this all the time. They are ignorant. The liberated person embraces this death because it's an expansion and because he has experience of this before. That's why he's not so scared like common people. You understand? Because he knows he has experience of this before, supernatural experiences. That's why he knows what's happening. He's used to this state. He's used to be without body, for example. During his sadhana, he abandoned the body many times, so he's used. That's why to him death is not something so terrible like to common people. They don't have anything else common people than the body. When they leave the body, they feel terrible, yes? They suffer a lot. When they are dying, they suffer a lot. And except they are in coma no. But they are attached to family, to objects. Oh, I'm losing everything, my God, yes, and they suffer. You had to expand and embrace expansion at the time of death. There is no death to Shiva. This Shiva, this guy, the light. It's called by Agyavagutta, yes, the light, Prakasha, in the direction of Prakasha. You are the direction of Prakasha. Prakasha is watching to the east. Yes, all the time, the directions. So this guy will continue to watch forever. In this body, in another body, in a void, continue to watch. It's impossible to die for him. So don't worry about this. Another joke by Shivadas. So therefore nobody except another liberated one can see such a person as he really is. So he's always in peace and perfectly happy even if the entire universe is annihilated. Manifestation, maintenance, and dissolution of the universe are a triviality to him. In his case, because he has attained the core of reality. When you achieve the self, you could lose your body, mind, and family, etc. But your state does not change at all. All becomes just a triviality to you. You could be rich or poor, healthy or sick, but none of those things can disturb your divine state. In order to enjoy such an absolute freedom, one has to realize the self completely. At first, self-realization lasts for a moment. Next, it starts to last longer and longer till you are fully enlightened. When you experience self-realization for the first time, you will think, what was I doing before? In your language, obviously. What was I doing before? ¿Qué estuve haciendo antes? In Spanish. ¿Qué estuve haciendo antes? What was I doing before? You will be so amazed at your freedom that you simply will not be able to believe it. You cannot understand what happened before. What were you doing before? But it's not negative, like, oh my God, I was a sinner. No. You don't know what was that before. Call this Gabriel, Lucas, Tamás. You don't understand who that person is. Who is that person? You will be so amazed at your freedom that you simply will not be able to believe it. At that time, you will fully understand that the state when you were identified with mind and physical body was bondage, without a doubt. This understanding is shocking because although you could have known that theoretically before self-realization, once this enlightenment takes place, you fully understand how limited your previous condition was. The contrast is so strong that you will keep scratching your head. It's like, I don't know what happened. Perplexed, completely perplexed. During self-realization, impartiality is so overwhelming that it's totally incredible. You cannot see anything, anyone who is bad or good. You only see Shiva inside and outside. Along with this experience, you feel total indifference to what is happening to your mind and physical body. Whether or not they exist is of no importance. They are not. You feel that you could live anywhere without it ever disturbing your perfect happiness. That experience is the most awesome experience a human being can have. It will take some time until one gets used to it. At first, it looks like a strange dream, especially if one lacks knowledge about the scriptures. It's like a dream. This is why you need to know what the scriptures specify. In this manner, you will know for sure that you are achieving liberation and not merely experiencing hallucinations. The state of the self is so inconceivable that if, for some strange reason, you are not ready for it, you will think you were dreaming or having hallucinations. This is part of the problem when you don't have knowledge about the scripture. You don't understand your states. I met in the past a lot of people who had experiences of Shiva, but he didn't know because he had no knowledge about scriptures. So they have these experiences in the past of their lives all the time. Yes, in the past, they were all the time remembering and going crazy in the process of remembering because what was that? Yes, I was abducted by some alien. What happened to me? They couldn't understand what happened. What happened? So they have to go to a guru, and the guru scholar had to explain to them what happened to them. So they will stabilize in the experience. So they will stop going crazy with the experience. It's very shocking. It's very shocking. When you know this in theory is one thing. When you see in practice, it's very shocking. You can go crazy even if the mouse, for example, in your computer moves by himself. Yes, imagine if this mouse all of a sudden start to move by himself. It's crazy. Yes, you are shocked by the situation. Yes, or some object is moving by itself. Yes, you know this. What is this? A ghost? What happened? Yes. So imagine liberation when you don't even know your ego. Who is that guy? It's another person. The state of the cell impartiality. This does not mean that you will wander around like a lunatic or stay in one place like a rock. You could conceal your divine state, keep your present role, and carry on with your usual life as before. Or else you could become a guru. This depends on the Shiva's will. Shiva's will. It's nothing else. You can continue with your life like a householder or whatever you are, or you can become a guru, or I can add a spiritual poet. This is decided by Shiva and not by a human mind. As you are totally free in the fullest sense of word, you are not affected by the destiny of your mind and physical body. Whether you become a beggar or the greatest guru in the entire human history, you don't care. All this is a triviality to you after you have realized your own self, because it's so massive, God, the experience of God, that the rest is not important, like before. If the one reading my words is free like Shiva himself, he will understand my words perfectly. And if the one reading them is not free like the self himself, he will understand my words in due course after self-realization. There is no room for sorrow then. The important thing here is that a spiritual teacher must have experienced the self directly at least one time. If not so, it's not a spiritual teacher. It's some clown. If he never realized, I'm a spiritual teacher, but I never realized Shiva, so it's a clown. It's a joke. If he never realized himself, he's just a scholar or even lower. But once he has attained self-realization, he knows for sure that the goal is what the goal is. Besides, a genuine guru must have a solid knowledge of the scriptures, dealing with Shiva, or he will not be able to present arguments and explain the truth to his disciples in an understandable way. And by solid, I meant solid. Weak knowledge is not enough in order to cope with the task of leading other people to self-realization. This teaching I give you now, is confirmed by Abhinavagupta, yes, in Abhisheka Prakashanam, his explanation of Abhisheka, the consecration of a guru. The only requirement is solid knowledge. Removing elementary doubts. Elementary doubts. Another chapter. Basic doubts in beginners. When someone starts his spiritual path, he's a beginner and is filled with elementary doubts about everything in spirituality. In general, he's called adhikari. Adhikari. Adhikara is right. So adhikari is someone having the right or the authority to do something. But in general, we call adhikarin with final n denoting neuter gender. No neuter gender, the pratipadika, the crude form of the word. So adhikari, possesses of authority, having power, entitled to, having a right to, master, owner, well versed in the Vedanta, controller, official, well, entitled to, with the right to, fit for. This is a beginner, adhikari. Adhikarin is the original word with N. When you decline this word in masculine gender, is with E, adhikari. If it's a woman, it's adhikarirani. You understand? It's a beginner. So, basic doubt. First doubt, what is reality or reality? You can pronounce it in two ways. Reality or reality is that which is immutable, doesn't change. The word changes. Does the word change? Yes, so it's not reality. At least the outside of the word, yes, the external part. Shiva and his Shakti, that is the self and his power. This is the reality. This guy, Prakash, the light and his power to know that he exists, his Shakti. This is real. All the time the same. All the time watching, conscious. Through the ears, through the eyes, through the mouth, tasting, sneezing through the nose. This guy. This is Shiva. Shiva and Shakti. Shakti, his power to know himself. I exist. I am. Aham. This is Shakti. That's why you cannot tell me where Shakti is, Guruji. Guy is with you the whole day. I know that I am. I exist. Aham. This is his Shakti. And him, he's the guy, you. You exist, yes? You are the guy. You are Shakti. You are Shiva. And Shiva has Shakti. So all that changes is not reality, but a manifestation of reality. It's some creation of reality. Why manifestation and not creation is better manifestation? Because creation has the feeling that you create something with external materials. You create something. But manifestation is with your own self. You create something. Manifest. From yourself manifest. In the same way that you have dreams, and all in those dreams is you, yes? Today I was dreaming about some girl. I remember in my dream, some girl, and I was this girl. All is your mind. And there was a motorcycle, and I was a motorcycle too. Because only that is the mind, and the mind is one with Shakti, and Shakti is one with me. So all is me. How is that possible? In the same way, in wakefulness, all the things you see around you are one with you. But you cannot understand. It's not logical. Or it's logical, but it's impossible to understand. How is it that I'm the mouse, I'm the camera, I'm the monitor? What is this? I cannot understand because you identify with your physical body. So this body cannot be one with everything, yes, because it's limited. So manifestation is better than creation. Most people mistake reality for existence and unreality for non-existence. No, this is wrong. Therefore, when one says that the universe is not reality, is unreal, he's affirming that the universe changes. It's not immutable, and not that the universe doesn't exist. The universe exists. This is not Advaita Vedanta. Oh, the universe doesn't exist. No, exists, but it's not reality as reality is, because reality is immutable. You move through this world, yes, over the century, yes, and the world is all the time changing, yes. In the past, we wore this pants so crazy, yes. The men, you remember this pants very tight and with some wigs in our head, yes, with this hair. And now that's ridiculous, yes. Now, ridiculous. In the future, this will be ridiculous. So the world is all the time changing. Now the fringe of Liena is very nice, but in the future will be ridiculous. Women will say, "Oh, look at Liena with this fringe. How ridiculous! My God, 21st century." So the world is all the time changing. It's not reality as reality is. It's reality because it's a manifestation of reality, but not as reality is essentially. Essentially, reality is Shiva and Shakti. When Shiva and Shakti manifest, appear all the tattvas, the world, yes, the universe. Next contract again and remains in himself again. Okay. The universe exists, obviously, because all that comes from existence itself, Shiva, does always exist. Anyway, as universe constantly changes, is not reality, in the fullest sense of word. Reality remains the same at all times, everywhere. You go to Burkina Faso, in the middle there, and reality is there the same. You go with yourself there, it's the same. You go to Sahara Desert, the same. You go to India, the same. Argentina, the same. Russia, the same. Wherever you go to the moon, the same. Because you, with your Shakti, are the same. You understand? It's not that there is some Shiva with some rodete, yes, bun in the head, and some moon moving with you. No, it's a fantasy, this Shiva is. Real Shiva is you, has no form. Because the witness in you, the guy watching in you, has no form, nothing. The universe, so only the self are his power unreal then. The rest is unreal as it continuously changes. The universe is not only the external world full of bodies, planets, stars, but also intellect, ego, mind, senses, and such. All this is universe. All these are also undergoing mutation. Ego mutates, yes, all the time changes. Different egos every half an hour. Yes? For example, when you scare a person, the person changes the ego immediately. You know this, yes? You say to the person, whoa, something, yes, and the person, changes the ego immediately for another ego. So ego regularly change every half an hour. But in some special cases, for example, when they are scared, ego changes completely. For example, in the past, I remember some women were older women, more than 40, yes, teachers, were speaking about, I remember in the yoga center where I was, were speaking about school, yes, something at school happening with the pupils, something like this in the yoga center too. One more than 50, another more than 40, speaking seriously now because this. All of a sudden a mouse appeared, a little mouse. Ah! I started to shout, yes, older women, like children, and jumped to a chair, jumped to the chair, both, and shouting like children there. Yes, what is this? Say drastic change of egos because the presence of a mouse. Yes, they fear mice. And change, ego change. So you see older women turn into children all of a sudden. This is the changes of egos. Okay. Such a person does exist, but he changes and is therefore unreal. So you're unreal not because you don't exist, ego is unreal, because changes. Unreality brings its consequences in the form of birth, death, pleasure, pain, etc. In order to overcome that pest, A person must return to his essential nature and recognize that, in fact, he is the self and his power. This recognition is spiritual enlightenment. It's the only way. Another basic doubts by beginners. Why do you say that a human being does not come from sea creatures, bacteria, etc.? No. Human being was created by God, especially. What is it? No, I'm an evolution of sardinas there in the sea. All the sardinas became me. It's not serious. This is the scientific theory of evolution. Yes. The natural selection, some shit like this by Darwin. So yes, we're changing and abandon the sea. We develop legs and let's appear a human being. No, it's not like it. Was especially created in laboratory. Was created this being with this intelligence. That's why we come from him, not from sardinas and bacalao. Bacalao is a fish in English. I don't know the name. We don't have from bacalaos and atunes from the sea. It's shameful, but people believe this in science. Bacalao, how to say in English bacalao? We cannot from bacalao, from codfish. We're not coming from codfish, catfish. We are coming from God. We don't come from atunes. Yes, atún, tuna, 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 tuna. We don't come from these fishes. From farel, truchas in Spanish, farel in Russian, I don't know in English. We're a creation of Shiva, of his will. That's why we can return to him. When we return to the essential state, we don't return to the sea, to the state of a bacterium there. No, stupid. When you get liberation, you attain God again because you come from him. You understand? Because if you come from sardinas, bacteria, and all the rest, so when you attain God, you attain the sardinahood, yes, or bacteriahood, your essential state. No, it's not like this. It's wrong. They are ignorant. Don't follow scientists. They are ignorant about this. They are very good at creating chips, at mathematics. They are very good, but they are bad tracing the creation of humans. Please don't follow them. So modern science affirms such things, which are the fruits of spiritual ignorance. There is a primordial reason for refuting that affirmation. The human being is not essentially material. That is, he's not his physical body, mind, etc. So the body can come from sardinas, maybe, I don't know. But we know we didn't come from sardinas. We are more important than those fishes in the can. Yes, sardinas in English, I don't know, sardinas. You know, these fishes in the can. Sardine, sardine. We're more important than them. Okay, have a brain. This brain is created. Yes, it's God. Okay, for today is enough. Next Sasanga will develop again this doubt about why do you say that the human being does not come from sea creature, bacteria, etc. Page 120. Oh, Namah Shivaya.